welcome back to Coteries of New York. I don't remember what happened last time. It was a couple days ago, for me at least. I'm just going to assume I didn't read this. She puts on a mysterious smile. I spent some of my precious time last night asking around, pondering potential kindred for you to meet. Came up with a short list of contacts. I hope you'll appreciate the gesture. Forging a partnership with them might offer perspectives and viewpoints that I cannot provide. Lenses through which to view our kind. They are all members of the Camarilla, of course. More or less. You're choosing friends for me? Wait, you're choosing friends for me now? Is this, like, a playdate thing? Don't try to get clever with me, darling. Think of it as a gift. One you can put to good use or squander entirely. Either way, you're welcome. I was wondering when we'd get to them. So, let us start with the Tremere. They are a powerful clan, disliked by many, but feared and respected by many more. They have been an important pillar of the Camarilla since the very beginning. They are blood sorcerers. Let's read it off. Clan Tremere. A hermetic mage in 8th century Romania, Tremere was the leader of a cabal of magic users, rightfully feared for their obsession with knowledge and power. For those familiar with shit, what's it? Mage the Ascension, I think it is. Different game line in the World of Darkness. Tremere was the head of, God, what do they call it? I want to say House Goratrix, but that doesn't sound right. I know Goratrix is a figure, not important. Anyway, he was the head of an important faction in the, what was it called? The Order of Hermes? Something like that. Super powerful mages. Honestly, becoming a vampire was a step down for them. It's a long, long story. Unwilling to accept his own mortality, Tremere cast his eyes on the hallowed secret of immortality. In his greed, the mage instigated the most terrifying magical experiments ever conducted, damning himself and his followers to a hell of their own making. Not really, no. See, mages in the World of Darkness, making themselves immortal is trivial. And I mean, like, completely immortal. They can pretty much make themselves indestructible. Like seriously, one of their powers is the ability to create clone bodies of themselves, like M. Bison, so that anytime they die, their soul just, like, automatically transplants into it. And if you're smart, you got a lot of them, like, all over the world. Well, what was I talking? Oh yeah. Point is, for plot reasons, I don't know why, like what the circumstances were, the Tremere, their magic started to just not work anymore. It just kind of stopped, and they freaked the fuck out. So they went and found a vampire. Because if their magic stopped working, I don't know if they would just start aging normally, or like crumble into dust. I don't think they wanted to find out either. But yeah, their magic was starting to stop working, so they freaked out and decided to become vampires. It worked out well because the plot said so. Like, seriously, it bent over backwards to make everyone that wasn't a Tremere a complete fucking moron. And that's why you don't use retcons if you don't have to. Terrified, they died and woke again to an eternity of unlife and hunger, cut off from their craft. In a mockery of their former magical rituals, now only fresh blood allows the Tremere to cast their thaumaturgic spells to twist reality. Thaumaturgic, I have no fucking clue if that's how I'm pronouncing it. I'm not thoroughly convinced it's a real word. It probably is. The clan is still organized like an initiatory occult order, recently fractured into a number of competing houses, each claiming to be the rightful heir of Tremere's legacy. Yeah, Tremere kinda died. A couple times. Again, complicated. They see true power as knowing the ways of shaping the world, having access to the right blood, and owning the rarest of ancient artifacts. They're usually referred to as warlocks, hemetics, I think that's supposed to be hermetics, or transgressors. Or if you're a salubri or shamisi, don't ask about the salubri. Then you call them usurpers and kill them on sight. Or at least you would if you could find any anymore. This seems to be kind of disregarding one of the more controversial things 5th edition had, where pretty much all the Tremere got nuked. Almost literally, like, they have this base called the Pyramid. It's like, it's their power structure. All the members of Clan Tremere are bloodbound. Don't ask about that either. It's honestly, blood bonding is a weird thing that's kind of hard to explain. But they're all bloodbound to the Pyramid. Every member of the Pyramid. Pretty much every member of the Pyramid is dead now. So the plan, the whole clan is kind of falling in on itself. Because, yeah, apparently MI6, the British intelligence agency, apparently they found out vampires exist, and also found out vampires rule, like, pretty much the entire planet, and they got really mad about that. So they organized a crusade, and just bombed the shit out of the Pyramid's, like, base of operations or whatever. Apparently they think they were the head of all vampires, and are feeling really good about themselves. Honestly, they should be feeling really good about themselves. How the fuck did the Tremere not notice that? And I already read all that. Man, I went off on a tangent there. You look at Sophie with a hint of disbelief. Blood sorcerers? Pretty sure Mark from QA used to brag about having a level 70 blood sorcerer. Somehow you don't think he meant magical vampires. Blood sorcerer? What, like, is that some World of Warcraft slang for a blood elf wizard or something? Mage. Whatever. Sophie snickers. Oh, child, don't be caught with that look on your face when you meet a warlock in person. They really are adept at using... I've heard this word pronounced like 1,000 different ways. I call it vitae. I don't fucking know. I don't care. It's blood. Vampire blood, specifically. Their own, as well as others, to unique and potent effects. Archaic term for the blood of a vampire. Seriously, I've been playing Vampire the Masquerade for... God, it's been about 5 years now. And I cannot pronounce that, and I've never heard anyone who can give me, like, a conclusive answer on it. I don't think the books come with, like, a pronunciation guide. Since they are quite rigid in their hierarchy, the kindred I had in mind for you might need some persuading. His name is Agathon. What a poor that's how you know that you were born to be a Tremere. When your name is fucking Agathon. From what I hear, he is quite the scholar, very ambitious, the child of a noted Tremere here in New York, Isling Sturbridge. Isling? I don't know. Spend enough time with Agathon and I'm sure you'll run into her sooner or later. Blood magic. Intriguing. This whole blood magic thing sounds intriguing. Oh yes, fascinating. There's also a well-kept secret of the Tremere. Don't expect them to share it right away. Some things have to be earned. Actually, the way it used to work, I don't know if it still does, is, they didn't teach thaumaturgy to anybody. And in fact, they pretty much had carte blanche to hunt down and kill anyone that they even suspected knew it. That was just kind of hand-waved, even, because they're not supposed to be allowed to do that. And yet, for some reason, everybody and their fucking brother knew it. Even Smiling Jack, who is an anarch Bruja, had like second level thaumaturgy. Moving on, I'm about to go into a blind rage here. Anyway, if you wish to contact the young Tremere, I hear you can usually find him I hear you can usually find him in a New Age bookstore out on Broadway. The Tremere have one of their workshops there. Gregory will give you the details. Workshops? In a lab? Yeah, they have a few different names for it. And the music just cut in. I just noticed about a minute ago that I hadn't been hearing it for a while. Now, this next recommendation comes with a bit of a caveat. As you recall me saying, most bloodlines have unique features that might not be obvious at first glance. Well, there is one clan whose members wear their curse on their sleeve. Oh, please be what I think it is. Yeah! The Nosferatu. Pretend I said that in the voice I was doing for her. The Nosferatu, if you've ever seen the movie Nosferatu, first off, if you haven't seen it, go look it up. It's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Just because, you know, silent era acting. Oh man, I love it. But they look exactly like Count Orlok, but like way worse. It's like they took him as a base and then just started covering him in tumors and made him live in a sewer forever. Seriously, look up their depiction in Bloodlines. They are fucking gross. And that's their clan weakness. Clan Nosferatu. The clan of the Hidden are known under many names. Hives, lepers, sewer rats. Sewer rats is the most common, I think. Carnies, scabs, Orlocks. But a few of them sound pleasant. For the Nosferatu, the embrace is a journey through abjection, as the blood of the horror gradually deforms the struggling tissues of the human body into grotesque abominations. Weeks of pain result in deformities similar to terrible birth defects, cancer growths, crippling injuries, and leper-like sores. Actually, it varies in time. Sometimes it's immediate, just boom, you're ugly as sin now. Other times, yeah, it takes weeks. It's unspeakably horrible. Those who endure it find themselves as monstrous echoes of Murnau's silver screen vision. Probably pronounced that wrong. But perhaps pain and humiliation teaches compassion. The Nosferatu, as they jokingly call themselves, are the most humane of the kindred. Wrong! That is a lie! They are ironically usually the least monstrous, just because when everyone hates you, you learn a bit of empathy. Unless you're like completely fucking psychotic. Like the Tremere and the Ventru. Wearing their curse on the outside rather than the inside. To blend in, some call on the blood to wear the borrowed faces of their victims or disappear from sight, while others rely on prosthetics and heavy makeup. Seriously, something you can actually do to... Basically, the way that being a Nosferatu works is they all have an appearance rating of 0. The bare minimum rating that you're supposed to be able to have in any of your attributes is 1. Like, if you're 1, you are bottom of the barrel. Nosferatu have a 0. If they get seen, it's considered a masquerade violation. Something you can actually do if you're in an appropriate area for it, like, say, California, is if you're ever playing tabletop, if you're a Nosferatu and you get seen on the street, just be like, nah, man, I'm just an... This is a costume, you idiot. I'm doing a movie down the street. I had to get a latte. Just completely play it off. Like it's totally normal. Your DM will either love you or hate you for it. But yeah, the thing that they mentioned there, that's obfuscate. It's one of the best disciplines there is. Seriously, it's amazing. Man, what's with the goofy names? Guess they're really big on Blue Oyster Cult. I didn't know Blue Oyster Cult had an umlaut in it. No wonder they make their havens in sewers, abandoned buildings, and such. Their appearance is hideous and obviously unnatural. Had they walked the streets like other kindred, the kind would have learned of our existence long ago. Did she just shudder? It's hard to tell with her usual complexion, but you could swear her skin suddenly took on an even more sickly color. The one I have in mind isn't as big an eyesore as the worst of them, but he's no Adonis either. Still, he has some talents and connections that you might find useful. You will find very few vampires more useful than a Nosferatu. Everyone hates them, but they're tolerated because they know everything. Seriously, they have their own... they have their own wiki. It's basically a wiki. It's called the Shreknet. It's spelled the German way of Shrek, not like the ogre. His name is D'Angelo, and he has an office, for lack of a better term, in the otherwise abandoned grain terminal in Red Hook, right next to one of those Swedish stores. The name escapes me. The ones with the awful furniture. I should probably make a joke there, but I have nothing against Sweden. What, IKEA? I didn't know IKEA was Swedish. Yes, that's it. My mind struggles to retain things that are aesthetically displeasing. D'Angelo does odd jobs for Kadir, digging up dirt, locating kindred who would prefer to remain hidden, the kind of work the Nosferatu are best at. He's on a case right now, something to do with kind murders, I think. After your initial brush with our dear sheriff, I think it would be wise to show some goodwill towards his agenda. Assisting D'Angelo with his investigation might be just the thing. She takes a brief pause to look out the window again. Now come the two more exotic proposals. Exotic, as if the Blood Mage and the Vampire Detective were business as usual. Ah, here's another good one. You may have heard about the Gangrel before. They're a wild clan, in touch with their beast in a way others might not dare to attempt. They mostly keep out of big cities, but there are exceptions. Clan Gangrel. Clan Gangrel are outcasts, wanderers, rogues, and hunters. They make havens in the poorest parts of the city and feel no shame for doing so. They claim few domains as their own. But defer to no prince. Yeah, they actually left the Camarilla, like, en masse. And nobody tried to stop them, because you don't fuck with a group of Gangrel. They're borderline indestructible, and they can basically turn into, like, werewolves. But, like, almost worse. If a feral enters a city, the prince will either accept it, or have to fight the feral to get them to back down. Gangrel embrace from the ranks of survivors and fighters, leaders of prison crews and gangs, explorers, urban and otherwise, and any kind who sees the world as something to traverse instead of something to hide from. They care not for looks or title, but for accomplishments and reputation. They are commonly referred to as wolves, feral, and outcasts, or in a more derogatory manner, as animals, strays, and savages. Though rarely to their faces. Nominally, they haven't been a part of the Camarilla for over 2 decades, but the one kindred I would like you to meet has strong, shall we say, familial ties to the sect. Her name is Tamika? Her sire, Jezebel, was instrumental during the Battle of New York back in '99. The very same battle that cemented the city as a Camarilla domain. I'm not gonna go into that battle. Oh shit. That was a big one. Sadly, her achievements have gone largely unrecognized. Wait, was that unrecognized or under-recognized? I missed it. Tamika and a number of her siblings still reside in the domain they were awarded after the battle, Prospect Park. Jezebel herself left the city some years ago, fed up with being underappreciated. Think I might have killed her. Let's just pretend that we never heard about that. Yeah, referencing bloodlines. I gotta ask. Should I contact non-Camarilla clans? I got the impression contacting vampires who aren't in the Camarilla was frowned upon, but you're saying these Gangrel aren't a part of the sect anymore? How does that work? It's not as clear-cut. The gangrel as a whole have sworn off the Camarilla, but individual kindred of that clan can still hold our ideals. Jezebel was one of them before she became jaded. Yeah, there's only like one clan more independent than the gangrel. Besides, their domain in Prospect Park has been upheld by Prince Panhard for all these years, has it not? We consider them members of the sect, and they have, for the most part, kept to themselves. Perhaps it will take a young kindred such as yourself to make them realize where their loyalties lie. So, you see, seeking out Tamika could prove quite educational, if nothing else. And who knows, perhaps you will find her temperament to be a welcome change of pace. But, speaking of a change of pace, I have one last suggestion for you, though it's one I don't make lightly. The kindred who calls herself Hope. Gonna be finishing up after we hear the full list of recommendations, because we're actually a little over time due to my rambling. She's an Malkavian. They are a uniquely cursed clan. For centuries, we considered them mad, insane, unhinged. But those of us who spend enough time with them will come to understand the truth. They are even worse than you expect! Clan Malkavian. Psychologists would diagnose the children of Malkov with schizophrenia, depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, or post-traumatic stress disorder. Sometimes all at once. In reality, Clan of the Moon, or I think that's supposed to be the Clan of the Moon, are all of these things and none. Like the wise madmen of poetry, their derangement stems from seeing too much of the world at once, from understanding too deeply, and feeling emotions that are too strong to bear. They self-medicate with blood, but that is just a temporary solution. All Malkavians suffer mental illness following the embrace, sometimes accentuating an existing condition, other times adding a new dimension to their instability. As if their thoughts and actions were based on otherworldly logic, there seems to be no knowing when their condition will manifest destructively, or when it will offer important perspectives where such were previously lacking. They are referred to as oracles, jesters, and visionaries, or in a more insulting manner as madmen, liabilities, and lunatics. Malkavians are the most feared clan to be around, primarily due to dementation, which doesn't actually exist in 5th edition. It got folded in with Dominate. They're universally insane. Every last one of them. Some to the point of, like, complete catatonia or mass murdering psychosis. Anything you can picture that could be considered a form of insanity, anything as minor as minor OCD to, like, super villain levels of mania. They're Sheogorath from the Elder Scrolls. All of them. And they can actually make everyone else around them crazy too. Hence why they're so feared. They also have something unique. In addition to just having auspex as an in-clan discipline, meaning that pretty much all of them have auspex, they also have something called the Malkavian Madness Network. All Malkavians have like a hive mind. Everything every Malkavian has ever known, all of the other Malkavians subconsciously know. Some of them can even tap directly into it. So they have a tendency to know things that they couldn't possibly have any experience with. In fact, if you played Bloodlines, you could actually get plot spoilers from playing as a Malkavian without knowing it. It is no sickness, but a unique perception of the world that has them appear to us as unstable. That perception can prove very valuable. They're also incurable. Like, they all have at least one derangement that is completely incurable, no matter what. Having a Malkavian as your companion might be taxing on the nerves and a true test of patience at times, but their insight and intuition are unrivaled among kindred. As for Hope specifically, she is said to be a recluse, but I have it on good authority that she can currently be found in an internet cafe. I believe it's called an internet cafe, I believe it's called, in Lower Manhattan. Gregory has the address. An internet cafe? Quaint. I really wouldn't know. But since you brought it up, be aware the Camarilla is highly critical of using the internet to communicate. The Second Inquisition made sure of that, exercised caution when at her haven. I mentioned them briefly earlier. Often abbreviated as SI, a collective name among vampires for the recent coordinated effort of intelligence agencies to combat the Kindred as if they were a terrorist threat. Few individual agents understand what they are fighting, and the intra-agency collaboration codenamed First Light places enormous importance on keeping their operations secret and disguised as ordinary anti-terrorist action. Probably the smartest group of hunters to ever exist. They are very wisely paranoid. Well, I believe that's all of them. I still have a few calls to make tonight, so I'll leave you to it. Use tonight and tomorrow night to arrange some cordial visits of your own. I will send Gregory for you as soon as I have further need of your services. Oh, that reminds me, you'll need a car. Join us downstairs, won't you? She smiles once more and turns to her driver. He helps her put on her coat, and the three of you leave Sophie's apartment. Sophie points to one of the cars near the building as Gregory hands you the keys. It's a rather inconspicuous compact car, a decent-looking, if not luxurious, ride. Stay safe, LawfulStupid. This is your first night alone. Don't let it be your last. As they drive away, you find yourself with more freedom than you've had for the past few nights. A blessing or a burden? Time will tell. With a list of addresses in hand, you consider your next move. And that's what we're gonna call it. Because we've been over time for a while. I don't know why I paused that there. I just noticed that it's kind of raining. Anyway, next time we'll decide on who we're going to go bug first. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, blah 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 blah. You know the drill. Like the notification thing, or don't, because why should you have to? Facebook, Twitter, it's in the channel thing. You can go there if you want. What was I gonna say next? Sorry, I'm disoriented. Bye, I guess.